Welcome back, my fellow artistes, to another Tip Off Tuesday. This week, we're going to be covering how to draw hair. So with that being said, let's put your hair up. Whew. Let's get into it. So guys, this week's video is a little bit more involved and in depth, and it's longer, but it's supposed to be. So just make sure that you're following along at your own leisure. And remember, this will take some practice to achieve, but how you get better at anything is just practice, practice, and practice. Let's go.
So here we're going to do this on mixed media paper, which is my favorite paper for charcoal. I have a graphite pencil here. This is just a regular pencil. And what we're going to do is we're going to draw a rough outline of the entire image. And what we're doing is we are just making sure we are highlighting heavy lines in the image itself. And what we have here is I've taken some soft charcoal from a charcoal pencil here, and I just rub it against this, and this breaks up the charcoal. And this is perfect because this will allow me to pick up charcoal with a brush, and this gives you an effect that you cannot get by laying down charcoal straight from a charcoal pencil. And I'll show you what this looks like here. So what I do is you want to take it on one end and pull it straight. And this will give you body. It'll make it look like it's round. And you can put as little or as much charcoal on this as you wish. This is all based on your desired effect of what you're going for. So what we'll do is we'll go ahead and we'll hit this all around with the brush. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to take a number 1 smudger, and what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to put some more soft charcoal on this, and this is how I apply it. I literally just take my pencil like this, grind some on there, and then I'll take my smudger and I take the end and I actually will roll it just like this. This gives me a nice level layer across my smudger. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take it on the top of this hair and I'm going to pull it. And the cool thing about these smudgers, they actually allow you to outline certain segments of the hair, which of course just gives the hair more body. We'll go ahead and put this on all of these parts here. And then we'll take a mono 0 eraser. If you don't have one of these, I highly recommend it, especially for this kind of charcoal work, because it just makes your life much easier. And that's what we like. We like things that are easy. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take a medium charcoal, because remember we use the 3-layered method with this technique. And that's using soft charcoal, medium charcoal, and then hard charcoal. Because they have different consistencies, all 3 of them lay on the paper differently, and we want to use that to our advantage. So what I'm doing here is I'm just accentuating the heavy lines. Then I'm going to take number 1 smudger, and I'm going to pull that medium charcoal that I just laid down with the pencil with my smudger. The reason why I'm doing this is because this softens the charcoal. When you lay down the charcoal initially, as you can see here, it's very abrupt, and and by taking the smudger and smearing that charcoal, inevitably what you end up doing is you end up softening the overall look and aesthetic of the charcoal itself, which is good. That's what you want. Hair is soft in its look. And then what you can actually, this is actually kind of a cool trick, you can take these smudgers and you can actually lay out soft lines. You don't even need to use a pencil to get this line work. And then we'll take the Mono Zero eraser here and just kind of sharpen this up. Make sure we have a nice defined line on the edge of this hair. And we take the smudger again. Let's go ahead and we'll soften it up, and then we'll take a medium charcoal pencil, and what we're going to do here is we're going to highlight those lines that we just made with the smudger, and this is adding depth to the hair, and we're establishing the boundaries of the hair as well. And remember your values. There's completely dark, and then there's completely white, and everything in between. So you want to make sure that you are keeping those in mind when you're laying down this charcoal and establishing those boundaries. And this is a kind of a cool technique that I use. I'll actually take the charcoal and I'll pull it one way from the edge, because with hair, at least in this reference that I'm using here, it's really dark on the outside and it's really dark on the inside, but the way the light strikes the hair, the center of the hair is almost completely white. So you want to keep that in mind. Just pull it one way. And don't be afraid to use short strokes. A lot of times when people are drawing hair, they feel that they need to have these really long strokes because the hair itself is very long, but you can actually accomplish that same desired effect by using small strokes with your pencil. Just pulling it in from the outside and pulling it out from the inside. Then here there's some stragglers, just like anything. Especially when hair is tied up, don't be afraid to draw out some straggler hairs here. This will make your hair look more realistic. And then we're going to take the number 1 smudger, and we are going to go ahead and we are going to define some shadows. And think of it like this: your smudgers, when it comes to hair, they're in between. Your pencils are to lay down the charcoal initially for hard lines, abrupt edges. Your smudgers are to soften those abrupt lines and those abrupt edges. Your brush is designed purely to soften the overall aesthetic of your charcoal once it's laid down on the paper. So just like this, we're going to go ahead and we're going to soften this up. We're going to establish some of these shadows, and just like I showed you before on the right side, we're going to establish some lines with the smudger here that are soft enough to where we don't necessarily need to draw them out with the pencil. We can accomplish the effect that we want simply with the smudger itself. Remember, with drawing hair, it's much like cutting hair. A little at first, because you can always add more charcoal. Just like when you want to cut hair, you cut a little at first because you can always cut more off. But the last thing you want to do is lay down too much, just like the last thing you want to do when you cut hair is cut too much off, because it's hard to add. Just like with charcoal, it's hard to take away. Keep that in mind. Then we're just going to highlight some hard lines here. And these harder lines are really going to make the top of this hair pop because there's more light hitting this image on the bottom than the bun of the hair. Remember, do short strokes. When you're drawing hair, the shorter the stroke, typically the better. Then we're going to take the number 1 smudger. We're going to smudge in some shadows. They're going to be soft in nature, but still slightly abrupt. Here you can accentuate a line and really add that depth in the hair, which will add to the realism of it. Just go ahead and hit the whole bottom section of the hair here. Now remember what I said with the smudger here, what you want to do is you want to pull up. So this is the top of the forehead. So you pull the hair up one direction. And if you don't have enough charcoal on your smudger, go ahead and put some more charcoal, grind some more charcoal out, and then roll it. And then that way you can get whatever effect it is that you're going for. But the biggest thing with the smudger when using it like this is to make sure that when you're pulling and pushing, you are committed. And if you're pulling down, you're pulling down. If you pull up, you pull up. You know, don't zigzag, because that's not going to give you the look that you want. And here we're going to go ahead and we're going to soften all these up. Just hit it real quick with the smudger. And see how the majority of this bottom piece, we laid down the charcoal initially with the pencil, but you know, the majority of effects that we're getting, we're not even using a pencil, we're using smudgers. And so now what we're going to do is we're going to take the brush here, we're going to go ahead and we're going to hit the top of this hair, and all we're doing here is we're softening the hair. That's all we want to do. We just want to hit the black lines and soften it up. And then we're going to take the Mono Zero eraser after we just hit this with the brush, and what we're going to do is we're going to do some highlight work. So now what we're doing is we are going ahead and we are adding white lines and shadows. And remember, the center of the hair is going to be typically the whitest part. And then you can actually make lines that are white lines with the eraser here. Then you take a medium charcoal and you can go in, you can highlight the white areas that you just made with your Mono Zero eraser. And all this does is just add line work and detail. So then what we're going to do is we're going to take this medium charcoal and we're going to establish some medium lines. All the while here we're pulling straight up from the top of the forehead. And remember, short strokes. Then from the forehead here, just straight up. Then you take your number 1 smudger again. And now what we're going to do is we're going to pull a lot of that charcoal that we just laid down with our medium. And what this is going to do, it's going to do 2 things. It's going to give us body and dimension to the hair that we just laid down, as well as softening the overall look of the charcoal. And we're going to be pulling this charcoal in the direction that we want to give the hair that realistic look. Think of charcoal like this. Think of it in layers. All the work you do with charcoal, you do it in layers. So now we're going to take the brush here, and we're going to go ahead and we're going to soften up these areas that we just hit with the smudger. And this is going to really soften it up, especially these straggler hairs here in the front, these bangs. And it's going to accentuate shadows. And then we're going to take the Mono Zero Eraser, and now what we're going to do is we're going to add by taking away. This is one of my favorite techniques, where we just smeared all that charcoal, but now because it was so light and a medium charcoal, we're able to take the Mono Zero Eraser and we're able to add dimension and line work by taking charcoal away. Then we're going to take the hard charcoal. Now remember, this has the most binder in it of all 3 classes. More than soft charcoal, more than medium charcoal. The hard charcoal, remember, is the silk between all 3. And because it's so smooth and because it has so much binder in it from the factory, it will lay, and it is the richest and darkest of all 3 charcoal types. And so you'll want to use this to accentuate line work, the fine lines, and highlight shadows, just like this. And remember, still follow the exact same path. If the lines go up, make sure your hard charcoal highlights go up. If your bangs go out to the side, make sure you're pulling it out to the side. Be very careful with the hard charcoal though, it's very powerful. You can get in over your head very quickly and lay down too much and lose that realism if you're not careful. So just be aware of that. And then we'll take the number 1 smudger here and we'll go ahead and pull straight up. This is going to soften some of those parts that we just laid down with the hard charcoal. This is one of the reasons why I love working with charcoals, because it's very forgiving if you just make sure that you're not laying down too much charcoal at first. So then we take the hard charcoal once again, and we're just going to highlight those shadows yet again. So often what you'll find yourself doing is you'll find yourself laying down multiple layers on the exact same part of your piece, and that's fine. Don't worry about that. You're not gonna get it done the first or even the second time you hit it. If you don't have the effect that you're looking for, just rinse and repeat. Lay down your charcoal, smear it in with your smudger, hit it with your brush, and then add by taking away with your Mono Zero Eraser. So then what we're going to do is we're going to take some of this charcoal here with our brush, and we're going to throw this down, and this is just to add shadow and dimension. See now how all of a sudden this looks rounded here? Very subtle. Working with shadows is very, very subtle, but it can change the overall look of your piece extremely quickly and for the better. Just make sure you're following the contours of your reference image when you do this. Remember, a little goes a long way. And now we're going to take our Mono Zero eraser. We're going to add by taking away, just like this. Remember, the center of the hair, by making it white, will give it that rounded look. And that's what we want. Okay, and then we're going to take the hard charcoal. We're going to do some last minute highlight work here. Remember, short strokes. Oh yeah, that's nice. That really makes the hair look realistic. And you guys can add as much detail work to your hair as you want. This was just kind of a general overview of the technique that I use in my 3-layered method for getting the desired effects that I like to get with my art. And then you can just take a brush here real quick, hit it, soften it up, because hair is nice and soft. That's why we wear conditioner. And there you are.
So guys, that is how we draw hair. We'd love to see some of your guys' attempts in the comments down below. And remember, just keep practicing, and I promise you'll get better. That is it. That is all I got for you guys this week. And as always, if you guys enjoyed this video and you guys absolutely dig what we're building here at Messer Creations, then I encourage you to like and subscribe. Be sure to hit the bell, ding, so you guys can be notified when our newest videos come out. My name is Braden. You guys have just been tipped off. We hope you guys had fun, and I will see you in the next one.